I'm Rhett McLaughlin. My last meal would be a wedge salad, French onion soup, fried chicken, baked beans, and pearl onion casserole, and red velvet cake for dessert.
Every human has exactly two things in common. We're all slowly dying and we all gotta eat. Rhett, welcome to Last Meals. How do you want to die?
Oh, quickly, painlessly.
Yeah. But do you have any big fantasies
you help
in
me?
mind? Right now? I don't think California's a right to die state. You have to go up to Oregon for that. That's real. But you don't have a hero's fantasy, like pushing Larry David out of a speeding train's path to save his life or something.
Well, first of all, I'm a tall man, so I'm probably not gonna live, I'll probably make it to the average life expectancy. Between being right-handed, because left-handed people don't live as long, and being tall, but being generally healthy and health conscious, I'm thinking 84.
Does that bum you out though? The whole dying early thing?
I try not to think about it, Josh. What I've discussed with my wife, and anytime I bring this up with Jessie, she gets upset. I'm like, listen, it's just if I get to a place where I'm not enjoying life, let's make it a big exit, parachute that doesn't open kind of situation.
I kind of love that, in extreme sports, try and take the Evel Knievel stunt that he never did. Jump the Grand Canyon. You might be able to do it. If you land, you're a hero. If you die, you already didn't want to be there.
Right.
That's a beautiful answer to me.
Yeah, but
it's
you have to take into account, I don't think you do the jumping out of the plane thing because you might just go in somebody's living room and kill someone else.
Well, okay, tell me about your last meal strategy here, because this seems like a lot of nostalgic foods. I know you had the beans in there, but this seems like very Southern down-home cooking.
Yeah, I actually didn't think of it as a whole. I thought of the individual stages of a meal and what I would want to eat if it's literally the only thing I'm thinking about is what I want. And then I take a step back and yes, it is the Southern style meal. There's kind of a memory or a set of memories tied to it. And some of it is just I just like to eat this. As you'll see with every stage of the meal, there is a vehicle for cheese, even the dessert.
The cheese and onions are in literally everything in this dish. We went through 15 onions when cooking. It's damn, Rhett really likes onions.
I like cheese and onions, yeah.
All right, well, tell me about the wedge salad then, because that is a hugely bold choice. This is one of the last things you're ever gonna eat before it's lights out for good, and you're starting with the greens.
It is, I think, the perfect vehicle for blue cheese, and so I just want to get started off with a bang.
We got a St. Auger blue cheese dressing made with a little bit of creme fraiche, tomatoes, black pepper, some big old thick cut bacon. We fried some shallots on there, chive.
Oh, yeah. And I like the fact that it is the only salad that I know of that is eaten like a cake.
I think there's something beautiful about that,
And again, this is destiny, this isn't intention. The fact that the meal begins and ends with a bookend of me having to knife and fork something, I think it says something about the legacy I want to leave.
I think so.
I don't know what it is, but.
Speaking of which, what is the legacy you want to leave? Is it with the media that you've put out over, well over a decade, or is it with your family? Is it with the people that you touched along the way? He doesn't touch any Mythical employees. Just to stress that.
This is the sort of the conundrum of somebody who has a lot of evidence of their existence out there. There's nothing I can do about that at this point, right? Because the real answer is yes, I am more concerned about my impact as a father and as a husband, but if we're just talking pure numbers, the way more people experience me is however they experience me on the internet. So I kind of think I've already just made that, I've made my choice without even consciously making it. Just look at what we do on a daily basis. Does this scream leaving a legacy?
Well, but like you said, you can't control what people consume. So there is a chance that the only impact you've had on someone's life is yourself urinating as a chocolate fountain into Link's mouth. Does that freak you out that there's one person out there who just goes, oh, chocolate piss guy dead?
That chocolate stream going into my mouth brought joy to somebody, right? It brought joy to a lot of people. I'm coming to grips with the fact that it's okay that somebody's day was made better because I received chocolate from my best friends. I keep wanting to say penis, but it wasn't his. It was a fountain that was sort of phallic.
Yeah. The penis was a metaphor. The chocolate was also a metaphor for the joy that it brought to people. And that's a legacy, and that's okay.
Right, and so I think I'm okay with it. But I really don't want that to be the thing my kids remember me for.
They will. All right, Rhett, let's move on to the French onion soup. Caramelized onions, bone marrow broth. Pretty simple with the bread. on top. We did a bunch of shredded Gruyere on there. This is
Okay.
another diner classic. How did this end up on the list?
Well, I'm not French.
Oh,
Thanks
no,
for
you're not.
asking.
Yeah, you're Irish, but you thought you were Scottish. I listened to the podcast.
I don't remember the first time I had this, but a lot of the things that I tried, I believe I have a very similar palate to my mom, who also really likes cheese. I just remember it's one of those things that very early on, the first time I ever tried French onion soup, I made a mental note, get that at every opportunity. And so almost without fail, if it's on the menu, I get it.
You're like honoring your past self right before death. You're like, that's why if people ask me about like, aren't you going to regret a tattoo? It's like, no, I don't care if it's permanent. I think that my past self is equally as important to my present self. And that's kind of what you're doing with this. Like you made a promise yourself, you can eat French onion soup at any point. So when I'm like, hey, Rhett, you're gonna die, what do you want? You're like, well, one more opportunity for French onion soup and that's all I need.
Right. And are you saying that like in like a tattoo, this might be a mistake, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna die soon?
Oh, nothing matters, because we're all gonna die.
I can get down with that.
Dig in, man. Yeah, it's a lot of cheese.
Oh, baby. Okay. You've done a good thing here.
I just muttered a little hell yeah inside my head when he took that bite.
Oh, man. You know, usually when you're enjoying French onion soup, you're not being watched.
Tons of people.
It is the kind of thing that you wait for other people at the table to start talking or become engaged in something else because there's not really any artful way to do it. But listen, I'm gonna die on the way home from this.
Yeah.
Is that how this works?
Do you think that
did you cut my brake lines? Is that how this?
It wasn't me. No. I'm like the managerial type now. I asked Mindy to cut the brake lines. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you. You do good work.
If I do die on the way home, will you air this?
I feel like we would have to.
Yeah, well, I'm saying right now, air it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I imagine your family is like in your estate, right? So like they're gonna be profiting off of the views that we'll get if you do die on the way home. We were thinking about that though. Like, are we clickbaiting people into thinking that Rhett's dead? Because yeah, like of course, I want to do that. Like that's another metaphor for all this is like, you know, your digital legacy.
That's the genius of the whole idea, I thought.
Yeah.
It's like every time you post one of these videos, everyone assumes that person is dead.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to these beans. Rhett, you're the bean man, of course, very important to you, so I took this incredibly seriously. I had actually never made baked beans before this, and we didn't even look up a recipe. We just went intuition on this. So these are
You've never made baked beans?
I don't know what to tell you. Bush's does a good job, not a sponsor. They were in the past. They were nice to work with. But no, I'd never made them. So what we did, we actually started with a base of Iberico ham because we were like, let's make this the most lavish plate of baked beans possible. We hit it with a ton of black lager in there, kind of reduce that down to get some funk and complexity in there. A lot of very deeply caramelized onions, then your classic molasses, tomato paste, a little bit of cider vinegar, a whole lot of navy beans in there, and then like a stick of butter and a little bit of pork lard.
And you put it in a bean boat.
Yeah, we got a nice little fancy bean boat for you. It's like a chalice for the boatman when you get to the River Styx.
Man, I've never, I feel like beans are often an afterthought, a little bit disrespected, thrown on the side of a plate. This is the proper presentation. This is what I've been waiting for.
You can take the bean chalice home, man. That's for you. Every guest on the show gets a bean chalice.
But this is my last day on Earth, so put it in my coffin. Oh man.
Yeah, they hit. The beans hit.
Oh wow. And they're like, there's a smokiness?
Yeah, it's just straight smoked paprika in there. Part of the spices we toasted up in some pork lard.
I like that consistency too. Like they want to hold together, there's a cohesiveness to it. Oh wow.
Yeah, but they're still not mashed, they're still whole. I'm really proud of the freaking beans that we made.
I've actually had like a redeveloping of my appreciation for beans because again, there's this weird thing that happens when you say something on the internet and then you get feedback for it. Like if you ask my mom, how does Rhett feel about beans? She'd be like, he likes them. But she wouldn't be like, he's got a reputation for really loving beans.
Yeah.
That happened because at some point I said that I like beans, which was true, but I like a lot of things.
Sure.
And then I was like, kind of like really stopped and started thinking about my relationship to beans. I'm like, is this an act? Is this a real thing?
Where does brand end and self begin?
Right, it's weird. You've got this projection of yourself that lives out there and you can over-identify with it sometimes, But I actually completely and rightfully over-identify with the part of the projected me that loves beans because I actually do love them this much. It's this self-validation circle.
You know what's so funny though? Continuing with like the media meta critique here, when you said like, I don't know if I really, my mind immediately went to, we can title this video, Rhett doesn't actually like beans. So that's where I was going with it. Like we're in the metaverse right now.
I can
you know?
redo that for you if you want me to.
No, I think it's great.
Well, and then when we talked about sex on Sextember, which
I thought you meant you and I was like, did I black
you know,
out?
when we talked about sex last night, when I called you late at night.
Yeah, you were very curious and
I was
had an open
whispering.
heart.
I was whispering and breathing. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that it was me
That's
until
okay.
now. When we talked about sex on the podcast, and I made it clear how I felt about, let's just say, being the giver, and the bean analogy really came full circle.
I missed that one, but I think I get where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the clitoris?
I have heard of the clitoris. I've never seen one. It's like a mythical creature, but no, I have heard of it. Hey, speaking of clitori, that's the plural of clitoris, by the way. People think it's clitorises. You were famously Christian for a very long time.
Yes, I was.
Female pleasure, not a big part of that. This is my segue. Wait for the segue. Wait for the segue.
I'm excited about this.
I bet you really believed in the idea of eternal life for a long time.
Yes, Josh, I believe that you needed to personally accept Jesus as your Savior, and if you did not, you would suffer an eternity in hell.
I heard that too when I was about 10 years old, and I was a Jew living in a very big evangelical community.
You weren't very receptive to that message.
No, I was, is the crazy thing, because they told me I could have eternal life in just a garden of happiness, and I asked my grandma, like, hey, yo, do Jews believe in heaven? And she was like, eh. And I was like, well, I'm gonna make Pascal's wager and just be a Christian. So for like 2 weeks, I fully tricked myself into believing that like, yeah, dude, Jesus absolutely rocks. Don't know what he did, but I would love to live eternally. But I'm wondering if, you in your evolution of your faith now take less solace in the fact that you're not so sure that you will have eternal life.
It's funny because a lot of people, I think one of the reasons that religion and Christianity in particular, any religion that holds to an afterlife of either eternal paradise or eternal punishment, usually they go hand in hand, is so successful is because you're being propelled away from something that sounds absolutely horrible towards something that sounds as good as it possibly could be, right? And like you said, it's just like, why take any chances on this? I think one of the reasons that hasn't been a compelling thing for me, like as I, kind of stopped believing and no longer call myself a Christian, was that it was losing faith in the foundational belief itself and kind of seeing like, this whole concept of heaven and hell and the way that we think about it in modern day, it's not even really a biblical concept. It's not even, there's a lot of influences that kind of came in to kind of create the modern concept of what this is. And it's just like, and this is what I ask Christians sometimes. I'm like, okay, you ask me, am I afraid of hell? Well, are you afraid of the hell that's represented in the Muslim faith? Because according to a fundamentalist Muslim, you wouldn't be going to their heaven. Well, I just added one more hell that I don't believe in and one more heaven that I don't believe in. And so I don't live in fear of that. But I like the idea that this isn't the end, but I also find myself not really caring because it feels like something I can't, there's no tangible nature to it, right?
And all you have is beans.
Yeah, and I got these beans in front of me. Does something happen after all this? I don't know. It didn't feel like anything was happening before it. Am I gonna care if nothing happens at the end? I don't know. We'll find out when we get there.
All right, so let's move on to this fried chicken. We went simple, classic, Southern. We just buttermilk, brine, bunch of hot sauce, a little bit of Tony Chachere's in there. Fried it up. This seems like an obvious connection to your Southern roots.
Fried chicken, quintessential Southern meal. I don't think that there's a better bite of food that can be put together, I mean, I think that, and I've had a lot of really good food, and there's a lot of things I love, but nothing's ever exceeded fried chicken. I'm a white meat man.
You're a white meat man?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't think anybody was a white meat man.
White meat, if done correctly, first of all, it's a great test if somebody can capture and keep the moisture in a way that is much easier to do with dark meat, but it's the biggest unadulterated piece of chicken that you can get in your mouth. And I'm a big man. I like volume.
You're a big mouth man. A giver in the bedroom, big mouth, white meat man. I respect that.
It's almost like the crust has like cornflakes or something.
No, that was straight. What you do is you take some of the buttermilk and you actually add it to the dredge and you stir that around so it gets extra crispy. So you're kind of like creating
I'm just gonna go leg here.
its own thing. Yeah, jump into that leg. How often do you think about death? Are you one of those people that it keeps you up at night and then occasionally you just start crying?
I do cry occasionally. Not about death.
What do you cry about?
Mostly it's the inability to deal with my own emotions, and it comes out in places like car commercials,
You're crying over the new Mazda RX-8?
Yeah.
Zoom.
The thing I think about is I'm beginning to think more and more about the amount of time I might have left. And I think I approach it from an unhealthy place most of the time because I'm still, as much therapy as I've been through, I still have this performance mindset where I'm just like, oh man, I just think about those years I have, and then I'm like doing this quick math in my head. It's just like, okay, from a mental and physical capacity, I'm probably past my prime of like creative potential, but yet I think I have resources available to me that might be able to position me to do this. And I'm like, what can I get done in these fruitful years? And is that until I'm in my mid 60s? When do I become I start thinking about the life that's left, not the death that's at the end of it. So that's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night.
But it sounds like the creative potential is what's really like keeping you up. Like if you were not able to create, would the meaning of life just kind of be gone for you?
I mean, I'm sure I could find meaning in other places.
Start woodworking. Start doing scrimshaw, you know?
You know, there's this concept of this like two mountains. You've got the first mountain, which is almost everybody in life, young people who are trying to accomplish something, you're on this mountain, and then some people fall off that mountain, some people get to the top of whatever they consider success to be, and then they realize, oh, I'm on the wrong mountain. And the second mountain is like the second half of life. It's like, I'm gonna start thinking about other people. I'm not just gonna think about what I'm doing. So I think that's one of the things that's, I'm letting go of feeling like I have all these things that I want to accomplish for myself, and what can I do to kind of invest in other people.
Am I your second mountain?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I was gonna share that with you at the end of this meal during dessert.
Oh, sorry to spoil it. We literally shot an episode doing a Great Depression Thanksgiving meal, and there was a very similar dish called creamed onions. And so like Rhett's eating straight up Depression era food right here. But I mean, I get it. It's cream, it's butter, it's onions. It's so comforting, but tell me about it.
Being just given a full dish of something like this.
Nice.
This does feel like the kind of thing that precedes your death.
How does that make you feel?
I feel like I'm being fattened up for something.
We're not gonna like harvest your organs and like turn foie gras de Rhett, although I think we could probably get some money on Etsy for that.
The combination of sort of butter and cream and then putting crackers on top. This configuration of food is something I'm always gonna receive into my mouth. My grandmother, she would make a casserole like this, but she would also just have like a bowl of just straight up pearl onions at the table for a lot of meals. And again, I was a weird kid and I liked every food that they put in front of me with a few exceptions. And I would just start eating those pearl onions with a spoon, and everybody would be like, well, look at Rhett, he loves them pearl onions. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm the pearl onion guy. And so this is like one of those unexpected tastes that I kind of fell in love with. And every once in a while, if Jessie really wants to make me happy, there's some stuff that she does that
sounds like you're making her happy, man.
That I won't speak about.
Shout out to Jessie, the real winner of this episode.
But you know what she gives me in exchange for those services that I
what's
provide?
that, Rhett?
Pearl onions.
I feel like you could be getting more. I feel like you're shortchanging yourself there, friend. Do you want to constantly be busy? Are you like an idle hands are the devil's playground type of person, and that you should be as busy as possible until the day you die? Or are you the type of person that thinks that you should languish on those memories?
I'm so forward-looking that I don't spend a lot. You know, it's funny, even when I look at like pictures of good memories, I get this uncomfortable.
Yeah,
oh,
you got a little cream in your beard.
That happens, thank you. I'll pay you back later.
Oh, you don't have, well, I'll figure it out.
There's something about the past, maybe because it's already happened and it's unchangeable, that depresses me. So I don't like to spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Even the good memories depress you in a way.
Yeah.
Is it just because you can't relive them? Because I feel that a lot.
I think I'm just obsessed with what memory I'm about to manifest or create in the future.
Is it because you think it can be objectively better than that one in the past?
Always. My answer to, what's your best work? It's like the next thing. Like I truly, that's how I operate. That's what I believe. But so yeah, I have a difficult time just resting and relaxing. Because when I rest and relax, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting the rest and relaxation that I need in order to create the things that I need to create.
Yeah. All right, Rhett, we're on to dessert. You requested a red velvet cake with cream cheese icing. We went very traditional on this. When I say we, I mean Trevor did. We used the alkalized processed cocoa, and then we add the vinegar to that so it turns naturally red. So it's a little bit of a light cocoa flavor going on there, a little bit of cinnamon, classic cream cheese icing all the way through, and then Trevor did the decorating as well.
I don't even understand why I like red velvet cake. I mean, what would the cake be without the red food coloring?
The red food dye was added later after it was already popular. The red color came from a reaction in the acid from either vinegar or buttermilk with cocoa that was processed with alkaline. And so that's how the red velvet cake initially started, but now people are just adding red velvet too. But we tried to go as classic classic
So
as
it
possible.
does have chocolate in it. It's got
Yeah,
the cocoa.
but it's like a faint cocoa flavor. But please dig in.
I'm just gonna eat it like a baby.
No, there's no slice. You're gonna eat this whole thing. Also, this is our lightning round. I grabbed the wrong show card. All right, Rhett, this is the lightning round. We're just gonna ask you a bunch of questions about death. Eat the cake at your leisure. Don't even mind.
That is so moist, Trevor.
Trevor, you're very moist. Good job, buddy.
Good Lord, Trevor.
All right, after eating this meal, would you be ready to die afterwards? Like, did this satisfy the last meal requirements for you?
I think it would be fitting, and I think it would create a potential viral video. So yes, I'd be willing to make the sacrifice for the team.
Always be entertaining. ABI, baby. That's what we're doing. What food are you serving at your funeral and wake? I imagine you want to be a full spread there.
Probably a whole hog, because it's just like, it says North Carolina, it says me, and it's also like another dead body for everybody to focus on.
I feel that. It's like you're so used to having Link by your side that you need a dead pig carcass to be with you on your funeral. That's beautiful. Who's your dream eulogizer at your funeral?
I feel like, assuming that because I'm taller and have a slightly higher resting heart rate and higher blood pressure, I'll probably die before Link.
Just statistically, it makes sense.
I would just love to see him struggle with delivering my eulogy. Like, he's gonna be so broken up.
It's gonna be live streamed on Mythical Society. It's gonna be.
Yeah, you know, it's just, I feel like the expectation is definitely that we speak at each other's funeral. Don't tell Link I said this, but he's gonna be all on his own, and when you leave Neil out to the, when you leave Neil to Neil, you get some really interesting results.
What's your biggest regret in life? Number one thing you could change, go back. You gotta choose one. Don't be one of those like, I have no regrets because all my mistakes wound me up. No. One regret, what would you change?
I would have studied, not that I think it would make things turn out better, but I would study something that I actually was interested in. Not something that I kind of perceived people around me thought was important.
You would have changed your major? That's your biggest regret?
It's so pivotal to the fact that I'm doing something that's so kind of opposed to the super technical background that I got. And I enjoy learning so much now, but I can do it like with a book on tape, or I guess they don't call it book on tape anymore, but audiobook.
There it is.
Or a podcast or something like that. But just like to be in an intentional like learning environment, actually learning something that I'm interested in.
That's a good regret, because now I'm regretting that, and I'm like, damn, that would've been really cool to throw myself into something. So I think you have something there.
Oh, okay. You wanna go to college together?
Kinda. Glendale Community?
Yeah, Glendale Community is like really highly
They
rated.
do good work. Finally, are you happy? Right now, how do you define happiness? Are you happy?
I'm definitely happy, but I always have this slight emptiness that kind of propels me forward, like a battery that's kind of charged differently on two different ends. And there's a fear that if it all balances out and I achieve perfect equanimity, that I'll just like, life will be boring.
I think that's the plot to the Jason Statham movie where they have to revive him every 3 minutes. I think. All I'm saying is be careful on your drive home, man. Rhett, thank you so much for trusting me with your last meal. Thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone, I believe, deserves some last words, so please tell the people.
I was actually only 6'6"3/4.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter because you play basketball with your shoes on, right?
That's right. Yeah, with shoes on.
6'7".
Yeah.
Rhett, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for trusting me with your last meal.
Yeah, man. Thank you. All of this was incredible.
Of course, and thank you so much for stopping by the Mythical Kitchen. Comment below what your last meal would be, and hit me up on Twitter @MythicalChef and tag who you want to see on the show next. See y'all next time.
Can I just eat this whole icing rose?
Yeah, no, that's a death rose though. That's for sure. And major collision on the 134.
Oh.
Hey you, cook up your own feast while wearing the Mythical Kitchen apron. Available now at mythical.com.